Have you ever asked yourself why, despite every effort, every late night, every calculated risk, wealth continues to elude so many who seem no less capable than you? Pause. Consider the subtle, invisible currents shaping your life. Are they truly under your control, or are you drifting like so many others, propelled by circumstance, fear, and indecision? Most men and women live their entire existence enslaved to these unseen forces, believing that luck or fate will determine their prosperity. Yet there exists a law, a hidden architecture of wealth that, if recognized and applied, makes scarcity impossible and transforms your mind into the instrument of financial mastery. This law is not taught in schools. It is not whispered in the corridors of traditional advice. It is the law of purpose-infused action guided by faith, imagination, and the relentless refusal to surrender to doubt. It is a law that demands total accountability, a mastery of your own mind before the world outside will bend to your will. What if I told you that the reason you are not wealthy is not because opportunity avoided you, not because luck betrayed you, but because you have yet to apply this law consciously, decisively, and without hesitation? Consider the mind of the successful man or woman. It is not merely a mind that desires wealth. It is a mind that commands it through precision of thought, clarity of purpose, and the deliberate cultivation of belief. Napoleon Hill observed, studied, and dissected the lives of men who commanded vast fortunes, not because they stumbled into them, but because they understood that the unseen forces of desire, faith, and persistence are the real architects of material reality. Every billionaire, every industrial titan, every person who has ever amassed true, lasting wealth has done so first in the theater of the mind. They have conquered internal chaos, dissolved the illusions of limitation, and aligned their subconscious with the unyielding force of focused intention. This is not philosophy for the faint-hearted. This is psychological warfare against mediocrity, laziness, and self-deception. The first victory Hill teaches is internal. The conquest of the mind precedes the conquest of the material world. Ask yourself, what is your definiteness of purpose? Can you articulate with crystalline clarity the exact form of wealth you seek? Most falter here. They think in vague terms. I want to be rich. I want financial security. I want comfort. These are shadows, not objectives. Hill demands a precise target, a burning desire so vivid and consuming that the mind cannot ignore it. Your purpose must ignite a fire so intense that procrastination, fear, and distraction cannot survive its heat. The subconscious mind responds not to wishes but to obsession. It does not act upon general intentions but exact, unwavering commands. Until your desire is defined, until it is transformed into a psychological imperative, the law remains dormant within you, waiting, patient, indifferent to hesitation or doubt. Faith is the next mechanism through which this law operates. Faith is not mere hope or passive wishing. It is belief so compelling it shapes perception and action. To command wealth, you must first believe with every fiber of your being that you are capable of receiving it. Faith reconfigures the mind, creating pathways where doubt once ruled. It programs the subconscious to marshal resources, attract alliances, and recognize opportunities that the untrained mind would dismiss. The world bends to faith because the mind that believes, truly believes, begins to operate in a state of unshakable expectation. Actions become decisive, persistence becomes effortless, and fear loses its grip. Yet so many fail here. They oscillate between belief and skepticism, allowing fear to poison their intent. The law cannot be half applied. It demands absolute fidelity. Persistence is the engine of this law. Desire and faith can ignite the spark, but persistence fuels the flame until it consumes all obstacles. Hill's study revealed that every failure is a lesson, every setback a signal, and every moment of adversity a test of resolve. The wealthy do not stumble upon fortune. They endure, adapt, and continue when others surrender. This law requires endurance that surpasses mere effort. It demands resilience that transforms resistance into opportunity. Inaction is the enemy. Hesitation is the thief of wealth, and fear is the silent killer of potential. Persistent action, informed by purpose and sustained by faith, is the psychological mechanism through which wealth materializes. Without it, knowledge and desire remain impotent, dreams dissolve, and opportunity passes like a shadow in the night. Consider now the mind itself as the crucible of creation. Autosuggestion, the deliberate feeding of the subconscious with thought, belief, and affirmation, is how the law imprints itself upon your internal architecture. Repetition of purpose, clarity of vision, and deliberate thought patterns shape the neural and emotional landscape of the mind, creating a psychological environment where wealth is inevitable. Negative thoughts, indecision, and fear are not mere inconveniences. They are chemical and emotional barriers that must be dissolved. The mind obeys the dominant thought, and until wealth occupies that throne, the law remains inert. Hill insists upon rigorous mental discipline. Every day, every hour, every moment must reinforce your purpose. There is no compromise, no room for casual thinking or half-hearted belief. The world is shaped by those who master themselves first. Decision is another pivot. The indecisive are enslaved to circumstance. They wait for signals, for timing, for validation. The decisive seize their destiny. Napoleon Hill discovered that nearly every failure he studied could be traced to hesitation or the refusal to act upon a well-considered plan. Wealth is created through purposeful, timely decisions, repeated, reinforced, and executed with precision. The law you must apply now responds only to action. Knowledge alone is impotent. Plans unexecuted are illusions. The universe rewards movement aligned with desire and faith, not idle contemplation. Your responsibility is total, to decide, to act, and to endure until success manifests. Now, recognize that imagination is the engine of creation. The mind that generates wealth sees beyond present circumstances. It visualizes solutions, innovates, and conceives of opportunities that the unimaginative cannot perceive. Ideas are the currency of progress, but they are useless unless transformed into action through the lens of purpose and persistence. Wealth is not a gift of chance. It is the natural result of disciplined mental creation combined with fearless execution. Every invention, every enterprise, every financial triumph was first a thought, nurtured by imagination, structured by plan, and realized through persistent action. The law you must now embrace is as much a law of thought as it is of wealth. It commands the full engagement of your creative fac. Altis. Fear, the invisible saboteur, must be confronted. Fear of failure, of ridicule, of loss, of the unknown, corrupts intent, paralyzes action, and destroys opportunity. Hill identifies fear as the chief obstacle to wealth. Mastery over fear is not optional. It is the sine qua non of applying this law. Courage, in this context, is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to surrender to it. Daily, relentlessly, you must confront the shadows that whisper doubt and uncertainty. Only then can the law operate freely within you. Only then can desire, faith, imagination, and persistence combine into a coherent, unstoppable force. Consider the invisible forces, the subtle currents of opportunity, timing, and association. Wealth rarely arrives as isolated achievement. It is the product of alliances, networks, and symbiotic relationships guided by mutual purpose. The law is social as well as psychological. You must attract, align, and harness the abilities of others without compromise to integrity. The mind that understands this law recognizes that every contact, every collaboration, every subtle influence is a potential lever for wealth if it is approached with purpose, clarity, and disciplined action. The universe conspires not for the unprepared, but for the mentally sovereign. Ask yourself now, will you drift another day hoping fortune will stumble upon you, or will you seize command of the only domain you truly own? Your mind. This is the threshold. Desire, faith, persistence, imagination, decision, fear mastery, and autosuggestion are the tools. The law is immutable, silent, waiting for you to apply it. It does not negotiate. It does not forgive hesitation. It grants power only to those who wield it with full consciousness, total responsibility, and relentless discipline. Your wealth, your destiny, your future, everything begins here, in this moment, in the unseen chambers of your mind. Do you feel the weight of responsibility pressing upon you? Good. Let it burn. For it is precisely this weight, this uncompromising call to ownership of your own mental and emotional faculties that will determine whether you remain among the many who struggle or rise to claim what the law has always made possible for those willing to command it. Nothing external will shift until the internal machinery of your mind is aligned with purpose. Wealth is not given, it is commanded, extracted from the invisible forces that govern reality by those who understand, believe, decide, act, and endure. This is the first law of wealth applied consciously. Know what you want, believe in its inevitability, program your mind to act without doubt, persist against all resistance, imagine the unseen path, decide without hesitation, and master the fear that seeks to destroy you. From this crucible, wealth emerges not as luck, not as accident, but as a direct manifestation of disciplined thought, deliberate action, and unyielding mental control. Today you have been invited into Ba's hidden realm. How you respond will determine the trajectory of your life. The choice is yours, the law is constant, and the consequences are absolute. Do you understand the true cost of inaction? Most men and women never consider it, yet it is the heaviest toll, heavier than any temporary discomfort, heavier than failure, heavier than ridicule. Each day of hesitation compounds into a year, a decade, a lifetime of unrealized potential. Every moment spent doubting, wavering, or waiting is a moment where the law of wealth remains dormant within you. Napoleon Hill observed that the greatest failures are not those who tried and faltered, but those who never tried at all. The law of wealth responds only to those who act with definiteness of purpose, who give it the raw material of persistence, clarity, and decisiveness. And now, if you are ready, we must explore what it truly means to apply this law, not conceptually, not vaguely, but with precision and ruthless psychological discipline. First, let us confront desire in its most exacting form. Desire is not mere wishing, it is obsession crystallized into thought, feeling, and action. The human mind cannot serve two masters, a half-hearted wish and the full command of intention. If you approach wealth with casual hope, it will remain as distant and fleeting as the wind. Desire must be sharpened, focused, refined, until every cell in your being vibrates with the certainty of attainment. This is more than motivation, it is psychological alignment. Your mind, your emotions, your habits, and your daily choices must converge into a single vector of unstoppable force. Persistence without desire is mechanical, desire without persistence is fantasy. Together, they form the engine through which the law propels you forward, across obstacles, through adversity, and beyond the expectations imposed by others or even yourself. Now consider the role of the subconscious mind as the silent operator of your destiny. Autosuggestion is the mechanism by which conscious intent is transcribed into this subterranean control center. Repetition of your purpose, visualization of wealth, the deliberate conditioning of belief, these are not trivial exercises. They are the forging of a psychological weapon. Hill teaches that the subconscious does not differentiate between imagined and experienced reality. It responds to intensity, clarity, and repetition. If you feed it fear, doubt, and uncertainty, it will manifest them. If you feed it desire, faith, and decisiveness, it will manifest wealth. Every thought you permit, every mental image you entertain is a building block of your external reality. This is the silent battlefield where success is won or lost, and only those who train their minds with conscious rigor emerge victorious. Persistence, the relentless continuation of purpose-aligned action, is the second force that transforms thought into reality. Consider the countless individuals who gave up at the brink of triumph. They lacked neither knowledge nor desire. They lacked the will to endure. Wealth, as Hill observed, is rarely a product of the first attempt or the first idea. It is an accumulation of repeated, focused effort, a layering of intelligent action over time. Persistence is not blind repetition. It is adaptive, informed, and disciplined. It analyzes, corrects, and perseveres. This is the differentiator between mediocrity and mastery. You cannot outsource persistence. You cannot simulate it. It must be internalized until endurance becomes instinctive, an extension of the unshakable belief that failure is a temporary condition, not a verdict. Decision-making is equally critical. The indecisive are paralyzed, caught in a liminal state where opportunity slips past unnoticed. Hill documented that nearly every successful person he studied had mastered the art of prompt and definite decision. Indecision fosters fear. Fear erodes desire. And hesitation invites external circumstances to dictate your fate. Decisiveness is the weapon that transforms mental energy into tangible results. To apply the law of wealth now, you must learn to decide quickly, to act firmly, and to accept responsibility for the consequences without complaint or evasion. Decision is the spark, persistence is the fire. Without both, the law remains theoretical, inert, and impotent. Imagination is the next dimension. Wealth emerges not merely from labor or routine, but from the creative power of thought. The human mind, properly directed, is capable of conceiving solutions, discovering opportunities, and designing strategies invisible to the untrained eye. Hill calls it synthetic and creative imagination, the ability to reorganize known information into new forms, or to invent concepts previously unconsidered. Wealth creation requires both. You must learn to see beyond the immediate, beyond the conventional, beyond the apparent limits of circumstance. The imaginative mind identifies opportunity where others see impossibility, and it constructs strategies that translate thought into material gain. It is the bridge between desire and attainment, and without it, effort is blind, persistence aimless, and decisions uninformed. Let us now confront fear, the invisible oppressor. Fear is the silent assassin of ambition. Fear of poverty, fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of criticism. These infiltrate the mind like a corrosive poison, diluting desire, undermining faith, and obstructing action. Mastery of fear is non-negotiable. Hill identifies 6 primary fears: fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. Each must be faced with awareness, dissected, and neutralized. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decisive refusal to yield to it. Every time you act despite fear, the law of wealth gains traction within your consciousness. Each act of courage is a signal to the subconscious, reinforcing belief, sharpening desire, and solidifying persistence. Fear is not elim. Innated instantly, it is eroded, disciplined, and subordinated to purpose. Only then can your actions be unconstrained and your intent fully effective. The social dimension of wealth is often overlooked. No man is an island, and the law of wealth interacts with others. You must cultivate alliances, leverage partnerships, and attract those whose skills complement your own, all without compromising integrity or purpose. The law operates through collaboration as much as through internal mastery. Every contact, every negotiation, every strategic interaction is an opportunity to magnify your power. But this must be guided by mental sovereignty. Your purpose cannot be compromised. Your vision cannot be diluted. Align with others consciously, decisively, and with unyielding clarity of intent. Weak associations corrupt energy, while purposeful alliances amplify it. Consider the role of failure. It is inevitable, not as a verdict, but as feedback. Every setback is data. Every obstacle is a signal. Every mistake is an opportunity to refine approach, deepen understanding, and strengthen resilience. The law of wealth is indifferent to excuses. It responds to adaptation, analysis, and renewed effort. Those who succumb to despair, who assign blame, who waver at the first sign of resistance, will never experience the full power of this law. Conversely, those who learn from failure, who integrate lessons, and who persist with renewed vigor harness failure as a critical ingredient in the ALC. Hemi of success. Discipline is the infrastructure upon which the law manifests. Without self-discipline, desire falters, persistence weakens, and decision-making becomes erratic. Discipline is the consistent application of mental and physical effort in alignment with purpose. It shapes habits, routines, and environments to favor growth and opportunity. Wealth is rarely the product of momentary inspiration. It is the accumulation of disciplined action over time. The mind that lacks discipline is a battlefield of conflicting impulses, and no law can operate effectively in chaos. By imposing structure, cultivating routine, and subordinating impulses to higher purpose, You provide the law with the conditions it requires to operate unimpeded. Visualization reinforces this process. To apply the law, see wealth not as a distant abstraction, but as a tangible present reality. The mind responds more powerfully to vivid images than to vague concepts. Picture your desired financial state in sensory detail, the lifestyle, the freedom, the influence, the ability to act decisively. Let this visualization evoke emotion, desire, excitement, urgency. Emotional intensity is the fuel that activates subconscious mechanisms. Without feeling, thought remains inert. Without clarity, imagination wanders. Without belief, action falters. The triad of clarity, emotion, and repetition ingrains the law into your psychological architecture. Time management and prioritization are often underestimated. EV. Eerie moments spent on triviality or distraction diminishes the potency of desire, persistence, and focused action. Hill emphasizes that wealth comes to those who value time as the most precious commodity. The law operates within temporal frameworks. Wasted time is energy diverted from purpose. To command wealth, structure your days with the same precision and accountability you would command a battalion. Every task, every engagement, every interaction must be assessed for its contribution to your ultimate goal. Focus is as crucial as imagination. Without it, even the most persistent effort becomes diffused and ineffective. Now contemplate the cumulative effect of applying these principles consistently. Desire, faith, persistence, decision, imagination, fear mastery, autosuggestion, discipline, and focused action create a mental environment where wealth becomes inevitable. It is no longer a matter of luck or circumstance. The law operates silently, invisibly, yet with relentless efficacy. The untrained mind cannot perceive it. Only the prepared, disciplined, and conscious mind can harness it. Wealth is a natural consequence of alignment with this internal architecture, an inevitable manifestation of internal mastery externalized through deliberate action. Finally, reflect on accountability. The law of wealth demands total ownership. No excuses, no blame, no waiting for external validation. The mind is sovereign. The law responds only to conscious command. Every choice, every thought, every action contributes either to mastery or to stagnation. Hesitation, distraction, and fear are forms of self-sabotage. To apply the law fully, you must accept absolute responsibility for your mental state, your habits, your associations, your decisions, and your outcomes. The world will not adjust to your indecision. The law is impartial, exacting, and unforgiving. You have been given the map, the principles, and the tools. But knowledge alone does not create wealth. Understanding alone does not move mountains. The law of wealth responds only to application. Apply it daily, relentlessly, without compromise. Cultivate desire, strengthen faith, persist through resistance, make decisive choices, harness imagination, master fear, discipline your mind, and channel every thought toward your defined objective. The process is exacting, unrelenting, and psychologically demanding. Yet, it is also profoundly liberating. To apply the law fully is to claim sovereignty over your own existence, to bend reality to the will of the disciplined mind, and to become the architect of your own financial destiny. Do you ever feel as though the world conspires against your ambitions, as if every door closes the moment you approach, every opportunity slips like water through your fingers? That is not chance. It is the mirror of your inner state, the reflection of your mind's alignment or misalignment with the immutable laws that govern wealth. Napoleon Hill discovered that the external world responds not to superficial effort or idle hope, but to the internal architecture of thought, belief, and disciplined action. The battlefield of success exists first in the mind, a place of unseen struggle where desire, fear, faith, persistence, and imagination wage war over the destiny of your life. Before the first dollar, the first deal, the first victory in the external world, the mind must be conquered. Ask yourself now, are you prepared to engage in this relentless, silent, unforgiving conflict for mastery? The first weapon in this mental warfare is clarity of purpose. Without it, all action is scattered, diluted, and doomed. Most falter because they have not defined wealth in its true, precise form. They chase abstract notions. I want more. I want comfort. I want security. Such vague intentions are invisible to the subconscious. Hill teaches that the mind responds only to specificity. Your purpose must be a target, unambiguous, demanding, consuming your thought with a force that overrides hesitation, distraction, and fear. This is the first alignment of mind and law, desire transformed into a directive that the subconscious cannot ignore. Every neuron, every impulse, every mental image must resonate with that singular objective. Only then can the law of wealth be activated fully. Now consider the psychological mechanism of autosuggestion, the deliberate programming of the subconscious mind. Repetition, visualization, and affirmation are not mere exercise. They are the forging of a mental instrument capable of shaping reality. Your subconscious does not distinguish between fact and belief, between imagined success and achieved success. It responds to intensity, consistency, and clarity. Every affirmation, every visualization, every focused thought is a command issued to this hidden operator. If you feed it doubt, negativity, and fear, the external world will manifest failure and limitation. Feed it purpose, belief, and decisive expectation, and it becomes a conveyor of wealth, opportunity, and influence. To master this process is to operate beyond chance, beyond luck, and beyond the ordinary constraints that bind the unprepared mind. Persistence is the crucible in which all intention is tested. Desire and belief ignite the spark, but it is endurance through adversity that ensures the flame does not die. Hill observed that nearly every individual who achieved extraordinary wealth faced setbacks, defeats, and obstacles that would have destroyed the unprepared. Persistence is not blind repetition. It is intelligent, adaptive, and relentless. Each failure is analyzed, corrected, and transformed into fuel for renewed effort. The unyielding mind does not falter at resistance. It interprets it as feedback, a signal to refine action and sharpen strategy. This is the psychological distinction between temporary defeat and permanent failure. The former informs, the latter annihilates. Wealth is born in the intersection of desire, discipline, thought, and indefatigable persistence. Decision is the next pillar. The indecisive are captives of circumstance, drifting under the weight of hesitation and doubt. Hill consistently observed that decisive action separates the successful from the stagnant. A clear, prompt, unwavering decision mobilizes the mind and body, signals intent to the subconscious, and creates momentum. Indecision, in contrast, generates confusion, magnifies fear, and attracts delay. To command wealth, you must cultivate the ability to decide quickly, act without wavering, and take full responsibility for outcomes. Decision is the bridge between internal mastery and external manifestation. Without it, desire dissipates, faith falters, and persistence becomes aimless. Imagination, however, is the engine of innovation, strategy, and opportunity. Wealth emerges from mental conception before it appears externally. Synthetic imagination allows you to combine known concepts in novel ways. Creative imagination enables entirely new ideas to emerge. The mind that visualizes, experiments mentally, and constructs future scenarios sees opportunities invisible to the untrained observer. Every enterprise, every invention, every financial breakthrough begins here. Imagination, aligned with purpose and guided by disciplined thought, becomes a force that manipulates reality itself, revealing pathways to wealth that others dismiss as impossible. Fear, the silent destroyer, lurks in every hesitation. Fear of theft, failure, fear of criticism, fear of poverty, fear of loss, fear of the unknown. Each is a corrosive agent, eroding faith, undermining desire, and immobilizing action. Hill identifies fear as the primary barrier to wealth. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Every conscious act in defiance of fear strengthens your mind, reinforces your purpose, and signals to the subconscious that success is non-negotiable. Mastery of fear is an iterative process, built through repeated confrontation, reflection, and disciplined mental rehearsal. Only those who confront fear directly can harness the law fully. Those who evade it remain perpetually constrained. The social dimension of wealth cannot be ignored. Wealth is not merely the product of individual effort. It is amplified through strategic alliances, partnerships, and networks. But association must be purposeful. Align only with those whose vision complements yours, whose integrity supports rather than undermines your mission. Hill observed that every successful individual leveraged the power of collective effort without compromising sovereignty of mind. Weak associations dilute energy, corrupt focus, and introduce conflicting impulses. Conscious alignment magnifies ability, multiplies resources, and transforms intention into action with exponential effect. Social strategy is not external. It is an extension of internal mastery, executed with precision, discernment, and unyielding purpose. Failure is neither shame, full nor final. It is informative. Each misstep is a data point, a signal from the universe and the subconscious about the alignment of thought, action, and purpose. Persistent analysis, adjustment, and recalibration are essential. The law of wealth is indifferent to excuses, rationalizations, and emotional justification. It operates purely on the alignment of desire, thought, belief, and action. Those who internalize this principle transform failure into leverage, setback into catalyst, and resistance into opportunity. Emotional resilience becomes a tool, not a byproduct, and psychological mastery translates into material consequence. Discipline is the infrastructure on which all else depends. Without it, desire dissipates, persistence falters, decision-making becomes erratic, and fear dominates. Discipline is not restriction. It is the deliberate structuring of thought, habit, and environment to favor success. It creates the conditions in which wealth can manifest predictably and efficiently. Daily routines, scheduled practice of mental exercises, and control over impulses are not mere rituals. They are weapons in the internal war for mastery. The undisciplined mind cannot wield the law effectively. It allows chaos to dictate action, surrendering opportunity to circumstance. Visualization amplifies every principle. Seeing wealth as present, tangible, and inevitable transforms abstract desire into actionable conviction. The subconscious does not act upon vague intention. It responds to emotionally charged, vivid imagery. Picture the lifestyle, the freedom, the influence, the strategic control you desire. Feel it. Let your body, mind, and emotions resonate with its reality. Emotional intensity combined with clarity of vision programs the subconscious to mobilize resources, recognize opportunity, and execute decisive action. Thought without feeling is inert. Visualization without discipline is wasted. Together, they sculpt reality. Time, perhaps the most undervalued asset, must be mastered. Every wasted moment erodes potential, dilutes effort, and permits fear and distraction to seep into the mind. Wealth comes to those who treat time as an instrument, a finite resource demanding strategic deployment. Daily focus, prioritization of high-leverage action, and elimination of triviality are essential. The law of wealth responds to efficiency, intensity, and deliberate effort applied consistently over time. Chaos in time management translates to chaos in results. Precision produces compounding effect. Accountability is the final dimension. The law of wealth is impartial, exacting, and unforgiving. It responds to conscious command, nothing else. Every thought, every choice, every action must be owned. Excuses, blame, and evasion disrupt alignment and neutralize potential. Absolute responsibility for mental state, habits, associations, and actions ensures the law functions unhindered. The universe does not reward complaint. It rewards action aligned. Why? Purpose applied persistently, decisively, and intelligently. Apply this law now with full awareness. Define your purpose with absolute clarity. Feed your subconscious with unwavering belief. Persist through adversity. Act decisively. Imagine beyond conventional limits. Confront fear. Align associations. Embrace failure as feedback. Cultivate discipline. Visualize vividly. Manage time strategically. Accept full accountability. These are not suggestions. They are prerequisites. The law responds only to those who wield it consciously, relentlessly, and without compromise. In the crucible of your mind, you must now forge the instruments of wealth. Desire, faith, persistence, imagination, decision, fear mastery, autosuggestion, discipline, visualization, time mastery, and accountability, these converge to form a singular force. One thought fully executed becomes unstoppable. One mind fully aligned becomes an agent of material creation beyond ordinary comprehension. Nothing external can thwart this alignment, for the law itself is impartial, inevitable, and inexorably tied to the degree of mastery you exert internally. The path forward is clear, yet demanding. You are called not to mere aspiration, but to relentless internal discipline. The law waits for no one. Hesitation dilutes it, indecision nullifies it. Only action, persistent and intelligent, activates its full power. The mental framework you construct today, under the weight of responsibility and conscious choice, will determine the magnitude of wealth and influence you manifest. This is the realm of silent mastery, hidden strategy, and psychological intensity, where success is won before it appears externally. Do you realize how often human potential is squandered not by lack of ability, but by the inability to marshal thought, emotion, and action into a unified force? Most drift through life unknowing of the immense power lying dormant within the mind. Napoleon Hill discovered that the creation of wealth is not merely an external pursuit, it is a deliberate internal conquest. Before the first tangible success appears, the mind must be disciplined, the emotions aligned, and the subconscious programmed with unwavering clarity. The external world mirrors the internal. Every failed attempt, every missed opportunity, every cycle of struggle is a reflection of a misaligned mind. Ask yourself now, are you willing to commit fully to the internal struggle, the psychological battle, the unseen labor of mastering desire, faith, decision, persistence, imagination, and fear? Let us examine the fusion of thought and action. Knowledge alone is impotent. Desire alone is insufficient. Faith, if not coupled with disciplined execution, remains abstract. Hill's research revealed that the law of wealth operates only when thought is converted into sustained, deliberate, and intelligent action. Action without purpose is chaotic. Purpose without action is sterile. Wealth arises when the mind, fully lined and aligned with internal laws, translates intention into concrete steps executed without hesitation. This is not a casual process. It demands relentless focus, continuous refinement, and absolute accountability. Every action must advance the objective. Every delay weakens the law's force. Now consider the architecture of your mental environment. Thoughts are the building blocks of reality. Emotions are the force that activates them. The subconscious mind absorbs both, executing commands with impartial efficiency. Hill emphasizes that the mind cannot distinguish between positive and negative intensity. It obeys the dominant influence. Fear, doubt, hesitation, and indecision are as potent as desire, faith, persistence, and courage, yet they produce opposite results. To command wealth, you must purge mental clutter, eliminate conflicting impulses, and cultivate a coherent internal landscape. Mental discipline is the foundation. Without it, all else collapses into inefficiency, wasted energy, and unrealized potential. Imagination must now be elevated to its highest function. The mind that envisions solutions, conceives opportunities, and anticipates obstacles operates in a realm where conventional limits dissolve. Synthetic imagination allows the recombination of known elements into innovative structures. Creative imagination enables entirely new constructs to emerge. Wealth is never the product of passive observation. It is the result of active mental creation. The Kappa city to see pathways where others see barriers. Every successful enterprise begins here. Every fortune begins in thought, nurtured with clarity, reinforced with belief, and executed with persistent action. The imaginative mind is the unseen engine driving material manifestation. Fear, however, remains the constant adversary. It manifests in myriad forms: fear of poverty, failure, criticism, loss, isolation, and uncertainty. Hill identifies these as primary inhibitors of success. Mastery over fear is therefore not optional, it is essential. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the deliberate confrontation and subordination of fear to purpose. Every moment of action taken despite fear strengthens the subconscious alignment with wealth, fortifies decision-making, and reinforces persistence. Fear left unmastered corrodes desire, paralyzes initiative, and dissolves faith. To apply the law fully, you must confront it daily, relentlessly, with unwavering discipline. Persistence now assumes a new dimension: strategic persistence. It is not blind repetition, but the intelligent continuation of effort aligned with analysis and feedback. Hill observed that those who achieve wealth understand failure as a signal to adapt rather than surrender. Each obstacle, each resistance, each setback is data, a message from reality indicating where adjustment, refinement, or reinforcement is needed. Persistent action, informed by insight, accelerates progress, magnifies opportunity, and renders the E-law unstoppable. The combination of desire, decision, and informed persistence is the backbone of material manifestation. Decision, the catalyst of action, must now be precise and unwavering. Indecision attracts delay, magnifies fear, and dilutes energy. The decisive individual acts promptly, evaluates intelligently, and accepts responsibility fully. Every choice is a command issued to the subconscious, a signal that guides opportunity toward execution. To hesitate is to surrender influence, to doubt is to undermine faith, and to postpone is to weaken persistence. The law of wealth responds exclusively to clarity of intent expressed through decisive action. Your ability to decide with authority shapes the trajectory of every endeavor. Autosuggestion, the programming of the subconscious mind, becomes the operating system of mental mastery. Repetition of purpose, vivid visualization, and emotionally charged affirmations condition the subconscious to recognize and execute paths toward wealth. Hill emphasizes that the subconscious cannot act without direction, and the conscious mind must supply precise, consistent instructions. Negative influences, unchallenged thoughts, and conflicting desires compromise this process. The disciplined application of autosuggestion converts internal intention into external results, transforming belief into reality, thought into action, and planning into execution. Social intelligence now intersects with internal mastery. Wealth does not exist in isolation. Strategic alliances, purposeful associations, and mutually beneficial networks amplify influence and capability. Yet alignment must be conscious. Collaboration without clarity of purpose or compromise of integrity weakens the internal law and dissipates energy. Hill's research shows that every fortune is the product of relationships leveraged intelligently, guided by mental sovereignty, and executed without compromising discipline or decision-making. Social strategy is an extension of internal mastery. It channels collective ability towards singular objectives. Failure properly framed becomes an instrument of refinement. Each misstep is a lesson encoded in experience, a diagnostic of alignment between desire, action, and mental discipline. Those who learn from failure transform resistance into leverage, adversity into insight, and setback into opportunity. Emotional resilience, sharpened by repeated confrontation with challenges, becomes a force multiplier. The law of wealth operates without judgment but rewards alignment. Mastery of failure is therefore not optional. It is integral. Discipline, now considered in operational terms, is the scaffolding upon which all principles depend. Without consistent, focused application, desire is diluted, persistence is weakened, and fear dominates. Discipline structures routines, habits, and environments to optimize energy and focus. It is the invisible force that ensures the internal law is consistently expressed externa. Every action, thought, and decision benefits from disciplined application. The undisciplined mind allows chaos to dictate results. The disciplined mind commands the law. Visualization reinforces the synthesis of desire, faith, persistence, imagination, and action. Vivid, emotionally charged mental images signal to the subconscious that wealth is tangible and inevitable. Sensory immersion, the sight, sound, and feeling of success, enhances alignment. Emotional intensity amplifies the law's operation, converting abstract goals into concrete, actionable directives. The triad of clarity, emotion, and repetition ingrains purpose into neural and subconscious pathways, ensuring persistent manifestation of intent. Time management, once neglected, is now critical. Every wasted moment, every trivial engagement, every distraction erodes potential. Hill emphasizes that wealth accrues to those who value time as the ultimate asset. Daily structure, prioritization of high-leverage action, and elimination of inefficiency are non-negotiable. The law responds to focused application of effort across time. Chaos in execution translates to chaos in results. Disciplined time mastery produces compounding effect, accelerating the convergence of internal mastery with external success. Accountability, absolute and unflinching, binds all principles together. Excuses, rationalizations, and deflections dilute power. Ownership of every thought, action, habit, and outcome ensures alignment with purpose. Say, the universe, indifferent to weakness, responds only to mastery. The law of wealth is impartial. Its rewards flow to the prepared, disciplined, and decisive. Absolute responsibility ensures the seamless functioning of desire, faith, persistence, imagination, decision, fear mastery, autosuggestion, discipline, visualization, and time mastery. Now, integrate all dimensions into a singular mental framework. Desire commands focus. Faith reinforces belief. Persistence ensures continuity. Decision triggers action. Imagination constructs possibilities. Fear mastery neutralizes sabotage. Autosuggestion programs execution. Discipline structures application. Visualization amplifies alignment. Time mastery optimizes efficiency. Accountability guarantees integrity. The convergence of these elements creates an internal force so potent that external resistance becomes negligible. This is the law applied consciously, decisively, relentlessly. At this juncture, the internal struggle becomes a visible pattern in external reality. The mind, disciplined and aligned, begins to shape circumstances, attract opportunities, and manifest wealth. Each action, decision, and strategic engagement is now a reflection of internal mastery. External challenges are interpreted as signals. Resistance is converted into leverage. Collaboration amplifies output. The law operates not as abstract theory, but as observable, consistent cause and effect. Those who understand this law operate in a domain beyond our randomness. They are architects of circumstance, orchestrators of opportunity, commanders of their own destiny. The choice at last crystallizes. Will you continue to drift, a spectator in your own life, or will you embrace the totality of the law, internalize its mechanisms, and apply them with unflinching discipline? Wealth, influence, and power respond to mastery of mind, not to luck. The external world yields only to those who have conquered the internal. Desire, faith, persistence, imagination, decision, fear mastery, autosuggestion, discipline, visualization, time mastery, and accountability converge to create an unstoppable force. Your destiny and the wealth that accompanies it is the product of your conscious alignment with these principles. Do you feel the weight of the unseen forces pressing upon your life? Most do not, because they are oblivious to the laws that govern success, unaware that their very thoughts, emotions, and actions are constantly shaping reality. Napoleon Hill revealed that wealth is not a gift, not a product of chance, not a result of mere effort. It is the consequence of precise mental alignment, disciplined execution, and the relentless application of invisible laws. The battlefield is first within the mind. Every hesitation, every doubt, every concession to fear diminishes potential. Every moment of decisive, focused action reinforces the internal architecture of success. Ask yourself, are you ready to engage fully in this internal struggle? E, to wield the mental laws as instruments of wealth and influence, to operate with total discipline and unyielding purpose. At the heart of this process lies burning desire. It is not casual aspiration, it is obsession transformed into psychological imperatives. Your desire must be so vivid, so consuming, that it commands every thought, every choice, every habit. Desire without intensity is impotent. Without clarity, it is wasted energy. Hill emphasizes that the subconscious responds only to precise, emotionally charged directives. It is not moved by vague wishes or passive hope. To apply the law effectively, your desire must dominate your consciousness, structure your daily decisions, and energize persistent action. The mind that is consumed by this fire becomes a magnet, drawing opportunity, resources, and alliances into its orbit. Faith amplifies desire into reality. This is not hope, not optimism, but an unshakable belief in the inevitability of attainment. Faith programs the subconscious to recognize paths where others perceive obstacles. It directs perception, primes action, and aligns the emotional state with purpose. Fear and doubt lose potency when confronted with faith, yet most fail here because they allow belief to fluctuate, to be eroded by circumstance, criticism, or delay. Hill discovered that faith, disciplined and unwavering, is the operating system of the law of wealth. Without it, desire remains inert, imagination unfocused, and persistence unstable. Faith converts thought into tangible results through sustained action. Persistence, the engine of achievement, now assumes heightened significance. The world tests resolve constantly. Resistance, failure, and delay are inevitable. The unprepared surrender. The disciplined endure. Hill observed that nearly all successful individuals face repeated setbacks, yet they continued because their persistence was informed, adaptive, and unwavering. Strategic persistence is essential. It integrates analysis, correction, and continued effort to overcome obstacles. Every attempt, every adjustment, every iteration builds momentum, aligning internal desire with external manifestation. Without persistence, the law remains dormant. With it, potential transforms into tangible achievement. Decision is the spark that initiates momentum. Indecision is fatal. Hesitation permits fear to dominate. A single clear, decisive action signals to the subconscious mind, triggers alignment of mental and emotional faculties, and mobilizes resources. Repeated decisiveness amplifies the law's operation, creating a rhythm of action that transforms thought into material reality. Hill consistently noted that prompt, definite decisions distinguish the wealthy from the stagnant. Your ability to decide, act, and accept responsibility is the threshold between intention and achievement. Imagination is the architect of wealth. Synthetic imagination allows you to recombine existing knowledge into innovative strategies. Creative imagination conceives entirely new opportunities. Wealth is always born in the mind before it manifests externally. The disciplined imaginative mind constructs frameworks, anticipates challenges, and visualizes outcomes invisible to others. Hill discovered that every major enterprise, invention, and fortune began as a thought meticulously developed through imagination, faith, and persistent action. To master the law, your imagination must be precise, vivid, and aligned with purpose. Fear, the silent assassin, must be confronted with relentless discipline. Fear of failure, poverty, loss, criticism, and uncertainty erodes belief, undermines persistence, and paralyzes action. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the conscious defiance of it. Each act performed in the presence of fear strengthens mental sovereignty, reinforces faith, and conditions the subconscious to prioritize action over hesitation. Fear is an unavoidable test of alignment. Mastery of it is a prerequisite for the full application of the law. Those who yield remain trapped in mediocrity. Those who confront it forge unstoppable momentum. Autosuggestion programs the subconscious with precision. Repetition of purpose, emotionally charged visualization, and consistent affirmation ingrain intention into the neural and emotional architecture. The subconscious cannot differentiate fantasy from focused intent. It responds to intensity, clarity, and persistence. By consciously directing it, you convert mental energy into strategic action, turning internal mastery into external manifestation. Neglect this, and desire dissipates, persistence falters, and imagination remains inert. Social strategy magnifies internal mastery. Wealth is rarely achieved in isolation. Strategic alliances, purposeful associations, and collaborative networks exponentially amplify capacity. Yet alignment must be conscious. Every relationship must support your objective without diluting integrity, discipline, or focus. Hill found that every successful individual leveraged others intelligently, guided by a sovereign mind. Weak associations compromise energy, introduce conflict, and weaken alignment. Purposeful collaboration, consciously directed, multiplies influence, accelerates results, and extends the reach of action. Failure is a teacher disguised as adversity. Each setback is feedback, a diagnostic of internal misalignment, a signal to adjust strategy, refine thought, and strengthen discipline. Hill emphasizes that mastery emerges not from the absence of failure, but from the ability to transform it into leverage. Emotional resilience, honorable. Ed, by repeated confrontation with obstacles, becomes an active instrument, converting resistance into opportunity, delay into strategy, and adversity into acceleration. Discipline structures every component of the law: desire, faith, imagination, persistence, decision, fear mastery, autosuggestion, and visualization operate with precision only when disciplined. Routines, habits, and mental control ensure consistent execution. Hill observed that the undisciplined mind allows chaos to dictate results. The disciplined mind commands the law. Every habit, every schedule, every regulated thought reinforces the architecture of wealth. Discipline is not constraint, it is liberation, providing the operational framework for mastery. Visualization integrates all principles. Vivid, emotionally charged mental images of wealth signal the subconscious to act. The more detailed, tangible, and emotionally compelling, the stronger the alignment. Sensory engagement, sight, sound, emotion, transforms desire into expectancy, faith into certainty, and thought into action. Without visualization, mental effort diffuses. With it, the law operates with exponential effect. Time mastery is critical. Every wasted moment reduces alignment, dissipates energy, and delays manifestation. Hill teaches that those who value and structure time strategically achieve compounding effect, prioritize high-leverage actions, eliminate trivialities, and focus relentlessly. The law responds to concentrated application of mental and physical effort over time. Chaos in time management erodes the power of the law. Disciplined focus magnifies it. Accountability binds the entire process. Excuses, deflection, and blame compromise alignment and neutralize potential. The law is impartial. It responds only to conscious command. Absolute responsibility for thought, action, decision-making, and emotional state ensures the law operates unhindered. Every success, every failure, every incremental advance is the result of ownership. To wield the law fully is to accept complete responsibility for outcomes. Now integrate all dimensions into one coherent internal force. Desire, faith, persistence, imagination, decision, fear mastery, autosuggestion, discipline, visualization, time mastery, and accountability converge into an unstoppable engine. Internal mastery manifests externally as wealth, influence, and opportunity. External circumstances bend to this alignment. Obstacles are reframed as lessons, resistance becomes leverage. Alliances amplify action. This convergence is the full application of the law, transforming intention into material reality. As you stand on the threshold of this understanding, recognize the stakes. Partial application yields partial results. Hesitation invites failure. Indecision erodes faith. The law operates only with total alignment, total discipline, and unwavering commitment. Internal mastery produces external manifestation. The mind disciplined, aligned, and unwavering beko. Is a force that shapes reality. The law is impartial. The magnitude of its reward is proportional to the degree of mastery applied. Do you truly comprehend the magnitude of your responsibility? You have been given the map to wealth, the hidden laws that govern every material outcome, the psychological framework through which desire, faith, imagination, persistence, decision, and discipline converge into unstoppable power. Yet knowledge alone does not manifest fortune. Understanding alone does not move mountains. The law of wealth responds only to action, to alignment, to unwavering execution. If you fail to act now, the potential lying dormant within you will dissipate, eroded by hesitation, fear, and indecision. Ask yourself, will you continue to drift in mediocrity, surrendering your life to circumstance, or will you seize command of the only domain you truly control, your own mind? The first pillar of action is desire refined into obsession. Your objective must no longer be vague or passive. It must dominate thought, consume emotion, and compel every choice. Every waking moment, every decision, every habit must align with this singular purpose. Anything less is surrender. The mind obeys intensity. Without relentless, consuming desire, the law of wealth remains dormant, powerless to translate intention into reality. Yet with it, every challenge, every setback, every obstacle is transformed into fuel. Desire becomes magnetic, drawing opportunity, resources, and alliances into alignment with your objective. Faith converts desire into certainty. It is not hope. It is unshakable belief in inevitability. Faith directs the subconscious, primes perception, and organizes action. Fear cannot coexist with unyielding faith. Yet most vacillate, allowing doubt and circumstance to erode conviction. Hill observed that faith is the operating system of the law of wealth. Without it, the machinery stalls. Every step you take, every decision you make, every visualization you entertain is reinforced by belief. Faith converts thought into action, imagination into plan, and persistence into results. Persistence is the engine, the unrelenting continuation of action despite setbacks, resistance, and delay is what separates fleeting effort from lasting achievement. Hill studied those who amassed great fortunes and observed that repeated failure was universal, surrender was optional. Strategic persistence, refining approach, learning from mistakes, adapting and continuing, magnifies the law's potency. Without persistence, desire and faith dissipate. With it, resistance is temporary, delay is instructive, and momentum becomes unstoppable. Every obstacle is a test, every failure a lesson, every continuation an affirmation of internal mastery. Decision is the spark that activates the law. The indecisive remain enslaved to circumstance. Hesitation magnifies fear. Uncertainty paralyzes action. Decisive, prompt, and unwavering choices trigger alignment, mobilize resources, and initiate execution. Hill observed that decisive action consistently separates the successful from the stagnant. Each decision sends a signal to the subconscious, aligning thought, emotion, and action. Indecision is the enemy. Clarity is the catalyst. The law responds only to definite, conscious choice. Imagination shapes opportunity. Synthetic imagination reconfigures known elements into innovative strategies. Creative imagination conceives entirely new possibilities. Every fortune begins as thought meticulously developed in the mind, nurtured with clarity, reinforced with belief, and executed through disciplined action. Visualization of wealth, vivid and emotionally charged, ingrains the goal into subconscious architecture. Sensory engagement, sight, sound, feeling, amplifies alignment, converting thought into action, desire into inevitability. Without imagination, persistence and decision falter. With it, opportunity manifests effortlessly. Fear, the constant saboteur, must be conquered. The law of wealth cannot operate where fear dominates. Fear of poverty, failure, loss, criticism, and uncertainty must be confronted directly. Courage is not absence of fear, but the disciplined refusal to yield. Every action, in spite of fear, strengthens the subconscious alignment with wealth, fortifies persistence, and reinforces decisiveness. Each confrontation with fear conditions the mind to act unflinchingly, creating psychological momentum. Those who yield remain trapped. Those who confront become unstoppable. Autosuggestion programs the subconscious to operate in alignment with purpose. Repetition of clear, emotionally charged affirmations and visualization ingrains intention, guiding thought into consistent action. Neglect this mechanism and the subconscious drifts, susceptible to doubt and distraction. Discipline, routine, and clarity fortify this process, ensuring that every thought, decision, and action is congruent with your defined objective. The subconscious becomes the instrument of execution, converting internal mastery into external result. Strategic social alignment amplifies your internal power. Alliances, collaborations, and purposeful networks extend reach, influence, and opportunity. Yet alignment must be conscious. Compromise dilutes power. Integrity sustains it. Hill observed that every major achievement relied not only on individual mastery, but on the intelligent mobilization of others. Purposeful collaboration, consciously directed, multiplies resources, accelerates outcomes, and magnifies the application of the law. Failure is not punishment, but feedback. Each setback encodes lessons on alignment, execution, and adjustment. Persistent analysis, adaptation, and resilience convert resistance into leverage, adversity into acceleration, and error into refinement. Emotional mastery transforms negative experiences into instruments of growth. The law is impartial. Those who internalize failure as feedback amplify their capacity to command wealth. Those who resist reflection remain limited. Discipline structures every action, thought, and habit. Desire, faith, imagination, persistence, decision, fear, mastery, autosuggestion, and visualization operate with precision only when disciplined. Daily routines, regulated mental exercises, and controlled impulses reinforce alignment. Hill emphasizes that without discipline, chaos infiltrates, undermining effort and neutralizing the law. Discipline liberates the mind, allowing consistent execution, predictable results, and the seamless convergence of internal mastery with external manifestation. Time mastery is essential. Every wasted moment dissipates energy, delays execution, and erodes alignment. High leverage action, elimination of triviality, and strategic scheduling focus effort where it has maximum effect. The law responds to sustained, concentrated effort over time. Without temporal discipline, momentum falters. With it, action compounds, accelerating convergence between internal alignment and material results. Accountability is the final, absolute requirement. Excuses, blame, and deflection nullify alignment. The law is impartial. It responds only to ownership. Every thought, action, and decision must be owned entirely. Success flows to those who claim responsibility for their mental state, habits, associations, and outcomes. To wield the law fully is to accept total sovereignty over your destiny. Now, integrate all principles into one unstoppable internal force. Desire, faith, persistence, decision, imagination, fear mastery, autosuggestion, discipline, visualization, time mastery, and accountability converge to form a singular conscious engine. Internal mastery manifests externally as wealth, influence, and opportunity. Obstacles are reframed as lessons, resistance becomes leverage, collaboration amplifies action. The law operates with relentless precision, indifferent to hesitation or doubt. The threshold is here. No more drifting, no more waiting, no more surrendering to circumstance. Wealth, power, freedom, and influence respond only to mastery of mind, total alignment, and decisive action. The moment for hesitation is over. You are called to act fully, relentlessly, and without compromise. Execute desire with obsession. Reinforce faith with certainty. Persist beyond resistance. Decide with authority. Imagine with precision. Confront fear without hesitation. Program your subconscious. Structure your discipline. Visualize with intensity. Master time. Accept total responsibility. Now rise, commit, act. The law of wealth is impartial, inevitable, and unyielding. Your mind, fully aligned, fully disciplined, fully conscious, is the instrument through which the universe manifests fortune. Hesitate and opportunity slips. Act and nothing can resist. The choice is absolute, total mastery or mediocrity, abundance or scarcity, freedom or limitation. Do not waver, do not delay. Command your mind, execute relentlessly, and claim the wealth, influence, and life that are your birthright under the law. This is the moment. This is the law applied. This is your destiny. Seize it now without compromise, without apology, without fear.